Hey, Chaotic Crew, Brian here again, and I've got another fun Final Fantasy commander for you. I've been seeing lots of spoilers over, this past weekend with Dragonstorm, Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy commanders are super cool, and there was one that stood out that I really wanted to build a deck around. So here it is. It's Sin Spira's Punishment, and hopefully you enjoy the name there. Sin is a 7/7 for 7 in the Sultai color combination. Flying, whenever Sin enters or attacks, exile a permanent card from your graveyard at random, then create a tapped token that's a copy of that card. If the exiled card is a land card, repeat this process. So, very cool. Commander to just be able to, essentially you want to self-mill, and then you want to get this out. You'll maybe get a land or two, and then a permanent. So just wanting to have super strong permanents. And landfall synergies is important. Self-milling is important, and just anything you could think of. As far as like different permanents you want out, you can go planeswalkers, you can go artifacts, you can go a lot of different ways with Sin. I've sort of got a little bit of everything here, and we can jump right into it. Moving into planeswalkers, right? Ashiok Dreamender is really solid here. It's great because you mill yourself for 4 cards, then you exile each opponent's graveyard. So having graveyard hate that touches only your opponents is honestly amazing, and while milling ourselves out as well is pretty great. Nissa of Shadowed Bows has a landfall trigger, gets a loyalty counter when a land enters, and then Big Minus gets a creature with mana value less or that are equal to the number of lands you control, which is going to be a lot on this deck. They're going to be ramping out on our own, and then our commander will ramp us even some more, so very good there. Brendan 7, also great. It's going to be discarding every permanent that isn't lands from our hands, so there's that we get off the top of our library, and then it's just going to make big tokens that can block or swing in for some big damage. This is kind of an enter the battlefield / blink deck. It's whenever Sin enters or attacks, right? So if we continuously blink Sin, then we can get the ability off a lot. But we have a lot of strong creatures here. I guess we'll start off with Yerick, the Desecrated, down here, who's going to double, essentially a Panharmonicon on a creature, so very strong to have there. But Alpha Deathclaw gets rid of a permanent, which is great. Archaeomancer brings one of these instant or sorceries that may be in our graveyard back to our hand. Arkelos, Lagoon Mystic, is going to make sure that our stuff enters untapped. What's great is if you end up getting a copy of this with your commander, it'll enter tapped, and then all of your opponent's stuff will enter tapped. So very strong there, and then when it's untapped, everything will enter untapped. So pretty cool. Archon of Cruelty is just great to have a copy of, right? Ashaya, Soul of the Wild, is going to make all of our creatures forests. So when we get a creature permanent from our graveyard, we get to repeat the process again. So very strong there. Avenger of Zendikar, just really good here. Deadeye Navigator, great to continue that blink strategy. You got Foundation Breaker to destroy artifacts, enchantments. Reclamation Sage as well is great for that. Farhaven Elf gets you a land. We've got Wood Elves as well to do the same thing. We've got Yargul Multani, is sort of just a big old creature. It's pretty strong there. And just some other, solid ramp pieces. Satyr Wayfinder helps fill the graveyard. We got Jumbo Cactor as well. And then we got some ways to, fill the graveyard up a little bit. So Gigan, aka Gyruda, mills everybody for 4. Glarb can surveil 2 each turn. Very strong there. Muldrother gets stuff out of the graveyard. Springbloom Druid sacrifices a land to put it there. We've got Tatiova and Rampaging Baloths and Tireless Provisioner as sort of landfall triggers as well. Thassa helps with the Blink package, and the Gitrog monster also putting lands in the graveyard. Toxrill, just another fantastic creature to have, and Spark Double as well to have a second commander or a second planeswalker. Be very strong. As far as sorceries, most of it's going to be ramp. So we've got Breach the Multiverse as well, though. So milling us for 10, milling our opponents for 10. Very strong. Then we've got, obviously, the main ramp package. Rampant Growth, Nature's Lore, 3 visits. Farseek, Kodama's Reach, Cultivate, Skyshroud Claim, all ways that are really strong. Windfall to get rid of our hand, put it in the graveyard, and draw new cards. And Neoform can also be super helpful here to get a strong creature out of our deck. Our commander's a 7 mana commander, so we don't really want to be sacrificing that. We don't really have any 8 manas, but say we do have Archon of Cruelty, so you could grab that, I guess. But typically you're going to be sacrificing, maybe these Wood Elves or something to get something better, right? So just keep that in mind. Instance, some counters, some removal, Harrow and Intis Restoration are 2 more, and Rolling Regrowth, 3 more ramp spells. Plasm Capture helps get mana as well and can counter something, but you mainly just getting it to get mana to get your commander out pretty early on turn 5 or 4. Very strong there. And then we have Altered Dementia to, mill ourselves out, and very strong. Conjurer's Closet, is a blink commander card. It's really good. Key to the City can discard cards, which is great, but also can make our commander unblockable, which is solid. Lightning Greaves and Swiftfoot Boots to obviously let our commander trigger twice in one turn. And then the Great Henge is pretty strong there too. And as far as enchantments, we've got a decent amount. We've got Animate Dead, Cemetery Tampering to mill us some more. Ripples of Undeath can mill us as well. Rancor to give Trample, and it'll always stay in our hand. We'll never need to get it with our commander. For the most part, Garrick's Uprising, going to be drawing us cards and giving our commander Trample. Spelunking, going to make our lands come in untapped, so very strong there. Our commander entering or attacking can potentially ramp us as well. Virtue of Knowledge is just another, Panharmonicon effect, so very, very strong there. And then 36 lands, nothing crazy about this. We are running Fabled Passage, Obscura Storefront, River Tears Out, Overlook, Foreboding Landscape. These lands that can sacrifice themselves are really great Broker's Hideout as well, because as soon as we get a copy with our commander, then they sort of sacrifice for more. So we're running a decent amount of basics here. We also have got Field of the Dead, right? So that's important too. We're definitely going to be able to get to a spot where we can have multiple lands with a different name, right? So even just Field of the Dead, Path of Ancestry, Overgrown Tomb, Opulent Palace, Exotic Orchard, Command Tower, Breeding Pool, Zagath Triome. That's enough. And then when these enter, you could potentially, if you really wanted to get to this 7 or more lands with different names, you can definitely, take out a few of these, add a few more maybe utility lands. That could definitely be helpful for sure. But yeah, really strong deck and fun. The whole goal is to ramp out to Sin and then see what you get, right? So play testing it. All right, we've got 3 lands, Altered Dementia, Roiling Regrowth, so not in a terrible spot here. Let's go ahead and draw for turn. We'll play the Field of the Dead tapped. Pass, next turn. Springloop Druid, not bad. Opulent Palace will end tapped as well. Next turn, so Command Tower. Well, this is definitely interesting, right? Because you kind of don't want to sacrifice any of these lands, but Command Tower probably the one we're going to sacrifice. Or Field of the... Actually, we will sacrifice Field of the Dead, because it's going to be a minute before we get to that 7, right? So let's go ahead and get us a forest, sure. And a island. Doesn't shuffle. Okay, turn 4. We got another forest, which is great. Drawing another land is pretty awesome. So 5 mana here. We can play this Altar of Dementia, or we could end up playing Yarrick if we want, but we want to ramp as well, so to potentially cast our commander next turn. So Altar of Dementia is very strong. Let's go ahead and cast that for 2, and then hold the 3 mana open for Roiling Regrowth. We'll sacrifice this forest this time. We'll do this one. And we'll get a swamp and a forest. Swamp and forest, and close and shuffle. Next turn, we do end up drawing a land, which is great. but it's a tap land, unfortunately. So it actually isn't that bad for us because we can play the Obscura Storefront, sacrifice it, gain life, get another island, which is good. So we've got 3 lands and a Roiling Regrowth. So if we play our commander, we're essentially going to ramp a bunch. But let's go ahead and we can... So this enter tap. So we have 6 mana to work with. I mean, yeah, you could play Yarick. If someone kills it, you could sacrifice it to alter Dementia, so that's not too bad. Yarick the Desecrated, cast that, and leave a mana open. End step, we could sack this, or if we have to block with it, we could sack it to mill another land, it looks like. Next turn, okay, we did mill a creature. Unfortunate, it could have been good to really get a copy of that. But we have the mana, we cast our commander, right? If it enters, we have the ability. I'm going to say on this, it's because it's 2 on the stack, right? It's 2 triggers in the stack. I'll go ahead and sacrifice it and mill 7, right? So what else? Tireless Provisioner, Archon of Cruelty, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we just milled a bunch of really great permanents. And then we get to essentially randomly figure out which, we get 2 of these permanents, and then if we get a land, we repeat that process. So we've got a few lands. So with that mill 7, we got a bunch of really solid creatures. So very possible to get a land and then, 2 strong permanents, or even if we got a Wood Elves or a Tireless Provisioner, could also ramp even more off that. But very strong here. Turn 6 is kind of running a bit slow, but not the worst ever either. Okay, next game, let's try this one out. We've got 3 lands, and Tireless Provisioner is kind of a good ramp package as well, so let's go ahead and draw. 3 forests, I don't hate that. With the Fabled Passage and the Tireless Provisioner, I think we're actually in a really good spot. So we'll just play a forest, pass. Turn 2, we get an Arcane Denial, forest, pass. Turn 3, we draw another forest, so we play that. Play the Tireless Provisioner. Next turn. Turn 4. Okay, Springbloom Druid is not bad. In fact, this is gonna ramp us out a lot this turn. So we'll play the Fabled Passage. Right, when we play that, we get the treasure. We're gonna sacrifice the Fabled Passage, and we're going to have it get us an island. It will come in tapped, and then it will untap itself because of the Fabled Passage. When that enters, we will get another treasure. So we have 6 mana we can work with here. Fortunately, this brings them to the battlefield untapped. So we could cast Wurn 7 to get more lands into our hand, and the next turn we play a bunch of lands. That could be really good, or we could Springbloom Druid now to get 2 more treasures and ramp another land. I think that might be the best play. Gives us 2 lands in the graveyard as well. That would give us mana to Neoform it, sacrifice it, and then we get put in a really good spot next turn. So yeah, let's tap 3. Play the Springbloom, sacrifice this forest. We're able to get an island and a swamp. They come in tapped, but that'll give me 2 more treasures. Bam. Bam. And let's see. Got 5 mana. I mean, we could cast Wurn 7. It's kind of risky. We have 2 blockers on turn 4, maybe some people's turn 5. That may not be enough. It may just be good to hold up the Arcane Denial, just in case, right? So that's something good to think about, because next turn we can definitely cast the Commander and the Neoform. We'd probably want to do Neoform first and then the Commander, to sort of get Springbloomed in the graveyard and ramp out even more. So that's where I'm sort of thinking. If we do end up doing the Arcane Denial, right, we'll end up drawing a card, and then we'll go to our next turn. Okay. And this is pretty great for us. We're going to play a Command Tower. Let's just Move these here. We'll get another treasure. The thing is, I think the best 4-drop we could get is Spark Double. We could also Archaeomancer to get this Arcane Denial back to our hand with Neoform, which I don't hate. You know what? Let's do that. And then when we ramp out, we can potentially get out another land to be able to cast it. So we'll do this. We'll view our library. Who we got? I'm pretty sure it's just the Archaeomancer or the Spark Double that we could get here. We can also get Foundation Breaker if there's an annoying artifact or enchantment on the battlefield. So I think it's probably more realistic that that's the case on turn 5. So we'll get the Foundation Breaker. And then we, of course, will tap 7, 5, 6, 7, cast our Commander. Might be good to run Caverner Souls and Delighted Halfling in here, too, to just make it uncounterable. All right, so we've got 3 permanents in the grave. So 1 through 4 on the dice is going to be a land that's second. Either way, we're getting lands with Springbroom Druid. So we have enough mana to cast some other stuff. If we had gotten Archaeomancer, we would have gotten enough for Arcane Denial. But let's just see what we would have gotten. 1 through 4 is land. Roll a 6. So we get the Springbloom Druid. Comes in tapped. We will then sacrifice the island and view library and get an island, another island and a swamp, which gives us 2 more treasures. Now we're in a great position. We have wasted. Next, we're definitely going to be casting Renin 7, which is good. We can make the Tree Folk, but most likely we're going to be plussing 1 to potentially mill ourselves for 4, right? So, or mill ourselves for however many. So let's just say next turn, we're definitely going to pay 5, right? 2, 3, 4, 5. Muldrotha is also not a bad draw for Renin 7. Go to the top 4. Yeah, we keep Path of Ancestry to our hand and discard Arkelos, Satyr Wayfinder, and Rancor. So, Rancor we don't love milling, but not terrible. But now we have a bunch of other stuff. We can, play in a forest and, get us another treasure. So we have 4 treasures, 5, 6, 7. We could totally cast the Virtue of Knowledge and make it so that when things enter, it doubles the triggers. Or we could double our Commander's trigger by first paying the 2 mana for the Ventress Visions side of it. Lots of ways you can go with this deck. But yeah, this deck is all about ramping out and then getting... You will get more lands when your Commander comes out. But you will also get some strong stuff out of your graveyard if you can fill it right. So if you want to run specific cards like Entomb or... I forget the 3 mana one that gets 3 cards to your graveyard. You can sort of stack it up how you want and you have a really good chance of getting what you want out of your graveyard and some really hateful and strong cards. I'd say if you're playing with your friend group, probably don't go as hateful and try and make it a bit more fun. But lots of ways you could go with Sen. You could go a landfall deck. You could do a lot of different things. It's pretty fun. And these Final Fantasy commanders are definitely shaping up to be really unique and cool commanders. So very excited for that. And if you like the video, make sure to like it and leave a comment. Subscribe to the channel. I know there's a lot of other spoilers to get to for this past weekend, so I'm going to start working on another video. But until next time, take care. Bye.